All right, everybody, welcome to episode 164 of the Followtonians. Uh, Eric, Ped,
Hmm,
normal deal. A
whatever.
couple of own goals, and you know, it stinks. It's crap. I hate it. We are sad.
Way to write off a season.
It really it kind of feels like Crystal Palace. It kind of feels like uh, just letting it slip through our fingers. Um, it, it 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 stinks to once again have a dream crushed.
Well, yeah. I mean,
Well, yeah,
if
basically,
we're, if we're being honest, the Crystal Palace game was the game, wasn't it? That was
yeah,
all sort of taken away from us. That's where we had to start chasing. And even though some people, will have you believe that Everton are a team that would rather chase because of the pressures of leading, I think having to go somewhere and win, and when you're down a few players, when you lose someone like Distan, who's such a physical presence, and also a leader of sorts in the team. When you lose someone like Morales, who yes has been in and out, we know that, but he can still be a game changer even when he's playing poorly, which is something that he has shown in the last few weeks. And we've coped with injuries this season in the most. We've replaced a player injured by a decent player, but I just think what happened on Saturday, not only comedy defending, but just the fact that when players weren't playing well, you looked over to the bench and for one of the first times this season, you really looked at it and went, "There's nobody there. There's
right.
nobody. There's nobody there." I mean, attacking wise, there was only McGeady, Osman, and the rest. Ledson, Browning, Garbett,
Hmm.
Hibbert. There was very little there, and that was a big difference in the game, which may have been overlooked by a few people, but we were really stretched Saturday, and we've utilised our subs so well this season. When we've been behind, I remember early on the season when we played West Ham, and we utilised the subs brilliantly that day when we brought Lukaku on. It was just having that difference, having that bit of freshness coming off the bench, and unfortunately there just wasn't that freshness there to change it when we really needed it. So
Yeah,
that was a big part.
it's really hard to fathom the amount of minutes missed by people that started out the season in our starting 11, or factored in greatly, or were bought and then didn't factor in at all. I mean, Kone came in and didn't have much time to get anything done. Traore had even less, even though he scored in the first time he played. Uh, it's just amazing the severity of some of the injuries between uh, the ACL from Gibson and the double leg break from Oviedo, and Everton is still, I mean, feasibly still able to make it into a top four spot. It's mathematically possible, even though it's highly improbable, being 4 points back with only
Mm.
6 points possible to earn. Uh, and it's going to require as a massive effort from those still standing, and a massive failure by Arsenal at this point. Uh, Beginning of the season, I mean, it's hard to already kind of wrap up and summarize the season. We'll do that in a couple of weeks. But beginning of the season, if you told anybody we have 69 points with 2 matches to go, we'd be in fifth place. Uh, you'd have to say that we'd all be pretty happy with that.
Yeah, of course we would, and I think we've mentioned before. think we mentioned last week on the show, we still had a chance to get second place, if things had worked out. I
Right.
think Roberto Martinez's target for Champions League football was 72 points, which of course is still attainable, and obviously we want to make sure we finish on 72, not maybe 75. So, targets have been reached. It's just unfortunate that I wouldn't say run out of steam. I don't think we've run out of steam. You look the way we played against Man United just a week before. You can't exactly say we've run out of steam, but key players in key positions have just didn't turn up at the weekend. And also if you look back at the Crystal Palace game, you think, if we're talking about players and missing players, that was a game where we needed to but we needed to leave James McCarthy out because of a niggling injury, and there was no one to replace him. And there's been key positions. You look at Lukaku and you think there's a lad who could have done with a rest at some point in the last maybe 2 or 3 games,
Right.
and hasn't, because there's no one to replace him. So
There's no Kone, there's no Traore, there's no Velios.
you don't want to moan about injuries, but we
Right.
really have had the brunt of them this season. And we're going to talk about injuries. Then you'll only have to look at our centre backs up till Christmas. I mean, who'd have thought? Jagielka and Distan again were flying. Distan has hardly missed a game for a long,
Years.
long time. And then suddenly he picks up an injury, and Jagielka picked up an injury at the same time. And then Jagielka came back, and Roberto Martinez has admitted now they may have rushed him back too early, which I think we were all aware of. And that injury's gone again, and he's been out for 3 months. Obviously, John Stones comes back in and does absolute wonders alongside Distan. But obviously, unfortunately, Distan got injured last week. Alcaraz looked okay last week in the second half against a fairly inept Manchester United, but this week when he was really tested, you can see the difference in the levels, and it's only 2-3%, but he was really sort of, he wants to play at his own pace, and we've said this before, and when he does it and it comes off, it looks great. But from the very first minute against Southampton, they put him under pressure, they bullied him, they forced him into an error that really should never have been made. There's absolutely no need for it. And the ball ends up in the back of the net.
Yeah.
And an already sort of jaded-looking Everton team, as the game's going on, is having to chase a game where the other team look fresh, to say the most part. They look fresh. They looked happy to pass the ball around.
Well, they look carefree. Their spot on the table is pretty much decided. They're not going to go any further than they are. They're not going to climb any higher than they are. They're not fighting for Europe. They're stuck in the middle, and there's no pressure at all on them. They're at home, and they can just, like you said, they can just have fun.
And they looked, physically bigger as well. You looked at all their players against ours. Every sort of key area looked like a mismatch.
They looked like Space Jam.
Lambert, around Alcaraz looked well bigger. Delafeu, playing on that wing against
Well, he
Klein.
is like 14, so I mean.
But Klein just looks so much physically bigger than him, and Delafeu just couldn't get a kick off him. It was embarrassing at times how poor he looked.
And Barkley in the middle against Wanyama. I mean, he had no joy there at all.
No.
None.
And even Coleman up against Shaw, and I think Shaw is a creation of the press on how well he's done this season. I really do. I think he's one of the players who, because he's young and English, he's part of the hype machine, which at times Barkley's been part of. Let's not get that wrong. We've seen performances where Barkley's been like so, and that the press have written him like, oh, he's been amazing. That's what the press can do in this country. You can put you up there and bring you down and put you back up there. And I just thought
they can get Ashley Cole a trip to Brazil.
Oh well, yeah, that's what the new task is. But I thought Coleman looked jaded against Shaw. Shaw is a big lad and physically strong lad, And we just suffered in every physical area we came across. And with Lukaku, who is our physical presence, looking well off the mark, he's been heavily criticised this week. Again, I've always said this. Anyone who's ever listened to this podcast will know I always say this. The first sign of someone who's not fit is the first touch, and his first touch in the last couple of weeks has been absolutely horrendous. So we were out-muscled in all departments, physically weren't up for it, and as you said, a really, really terrible first goal put us. Well, it gave us a mountain to climb, and it was a mountain that we just couldn't get up. And you go on, you go on 30 or so, or you go on 30 minutes later, almost to the minute, it happens again across from
almost identical, yeah.
Across from the other side, the other side. Baines doesn't stop the cross. Alcaraz should be stopping the header. Stones
should have.
Stones in his inexperience probably thought he would have and didn't, sort of neglected that. And then Coleman has reacted. That's the only word you can use. He's reacted.
Right.
And unfortunately, he's almost tried to cushion it maybe back to the goalkeeper. I'm not 100% sure. And Tim Howard is left just absolutely stranded.
Yeah,
I'm not going to go on about Tim Howard. For me, there's so much more he could have done for both goals, but he didn't. But I'm not gonna dwell on that. But
he didn't, but he shouldn't have had to. But then he.
Yeah.
There's no attacking presence in the 6-yard area, and if he's looking at the line of defense in front of him, he's thinking they should have this covered.
That's not what a goalkeeper does, though.
Okay. I'm not a good goalkeeper. I'm just saying.
Surely a goalkeeper's whole point is to react to any situation. And Tim Howard's been incredible this season. He has been incredible. But I say it most weeks.
Incredible Hulkish.
Incredible Hulkish indeed. I say it most weeks, Eric, and I don't believe I'm wrong. He doesn't dominate his area enough. For me, he could have come out and caught that cross without a problem, and there is the problem over. But he didn't. So, and it was a poor header, and we're 2-0 down, and we've got an absolute mountain to climb. And we go into the end of the half, and we're 2-0 down, and we didn't do anything. We didn't look like we were going to do anything. We never responded to it. We never got up for it, and you just felt at that point the game was over.
The season was over.
Well, from a Champions League perspective, yes.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Anything else we care to add? I don't want to talk about this match a whole lot.
Well, I do want to quickly mention the second half out, because we've come out second half and immediately we've made it. We made an impact. The ball gets out to Deulofeu. He's clearly onside.
Yeah.
And the referee, the linesman, gives an offside decision, which Deulofeu is clearly 1-on-1.
Yeah.
Really early in the half, you'd be confident he'd put it away. That could have made it 2-1. Okay, listen, mistakes are made. You get them for, you get them against. Leon Osman goes into the box. He gets clearly taken out. People will sit there and say he was already going down. He was looking for it. The Southampton player did not get anywhere near the ball. He made contact with Leon Osman, and as we've seen from other teams all season, they are carefree when it comes to going down.
Mm-hmm.
There's a team not so far away from here who are sitting top of the league, and they've had how many penalties have they had this season? And a lot of them,
there's kind of a hashtag that trends every time they play.
Yeah,
so.
And a lot of them are very, very similar. The player gets touched and he'll go down and he'll make the decision for the referee. And the fact that we never got this penalty was in my eyes was scandalous. And the fact that Leon Osman got booked, that is a disgrace. That is an absolute disgrace that he got booked. And people will say, as I said, people will say he was looking to go down. I don't necessarily agree with that on one. But I think Leon is a very honest player, and I think if anything, he might have just been sort of trying to get round the player. But regardless, the lad takes him out. Is he expecting the contact? Maybe yes, but the point is the lad touches him, he goes
Right.
through him, and that for me is a penalty. And so many times we've missed out on this season. Lukaku against Manchester City, Seamus Coleman twice against Spurs,
Yeah.
Leighton Baines against Cardiff away. And we've been so honest. Even in the FA Cup game, I thought against Arsenal we should have had a penalty. And it doesn't necessarily look like a penalty because our players are honest and they stay on the feet most of the time. And I was just staggered by the decision. And then, not long after, McCarthy gets hauled down in the box.
Right.
And again, people are sitting there going, oh, that's never a penalty because of sort of the circumstances of it. But at the end of the day, the defender grabbed him from behind and
Has a
pulled,
hold of his shirt.
yeah,
Yeah.
and pulls him to the floor. And I'm thinking, well, about literally minutes later, something very, very similar happened in the centre of the park, and it was a free kick to
Right.
Southampton.
Sure.
So, you know, and the thing is, yes, we played poorly. We played poorly, but a 2-1, this Everton side could have easily have held itself back into the game. And you're talking about the Southampton side that, couple of weeks ago, lost a 2-0 lead at Spurs. They're not the best team in the world. Everton could have easily got a head of steam and gone for it, being at 2-1, and we were denied that by really, really poor officiating. And the first thing I'll say is how bad we're in this game, but the second thing I'll say is we weren't given a chance. When there was three very, very clear game-changing decisions that went against us, and that is really, really poor from the Premier League and the Premier League standards and the standards it's supposed to set itself. So I've just
Frustrated.
I couldn't have been more angry with the Leon Osman one. I really couldn't, because it was a foul. It was a foul, and the fact that he booked him for diving
Yeah.
when we've seen some of the things we've seen this season.
As a defender in the Premier League, if you leave your feet in the box and you do not make contact with the ball, you should expect to be conceding a penalty. Pure and simple. I fully believe that. If you do not make contact with the ball in a tackle when you leave your feet in the box, you're an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, Lovren has
Because
gone.
because
Lovren's
it,
gone
it
through.
should, yeah.
He's gone through him. He's made contact with him, and let's remember, the ball was 3 yards away. He was nowhere near the ball, and
Right.
that is what makes it that's what makes it incredibly more frustrating. What is the ref seeing? I think we've actually mentioned this before about we've got goal line technology, obviously, but you can understand to a point, even though they don't quite work, why UEFA want these extra two officials by the side of the goal, because really they're sort of there for those goal line decisions in a way. But why can't we have them in the Premier League as well? Because that is a position where that happened, is a position where the linesman on the other side has to see through players and a goal at times if he's been at a certain angle. And the referee can only really see that from behind. So why can't we have those two officials who stand at either end of the pitch? Surely, if we'd had those officials there, the one on that end would have been that side of the goal, because the linesman was on the other side, and he would have been right on the spot, and he would have seen that clearly. And
Right.
yes, okay, we've got goal line technology, but in an age where we're talking about them wanting more and more and more technology, a couple of more officials in the richest league in the world wouldn't go amiss, really, would it? Really wouldn't go amiss when you see some of the decisions that do and don't get given in the Premier League. So I just
If
thought
we have three, won't five just be that much worse?
possibly so.
Yeah, done. Dropped points. Still sitting on 69. Still sitting in fifth. Still need a point to secure Europa League for next year, because if you look at the table and look at the math, if Man United and Spurs win their matches and we don't take another point, we'll finish seventh.
Boo hoo.
Yep. So, done with this one. Should we talk about the AGM first?
If you want.
Yeah, I think let's do that, and then why
Okay.
not? Let's get into it. So a little bit different this AGM than one's past because you were at it. So how did that go for you?
Something must have changed if I was at it. First of all, let me take this chance to thank Ian Phillips, who offered me his seat in the general meeting. So big thanks to him. He's a shareholder, and I was his proxy for the night. I was his representative. So there you go.
You snuck through the guards, did you?
Yeah, something. No, my name was down. No problems there. Yeah, it was the general meeting, as they call it now. AGM. I don't see what the difference is. It used to be called. The reason it's not called an annual general meeting is because
it happened once a year.
Because it's not. They have to vote before everyone to see if it's going to come back the year after, and even though the vote's always going to be yes. So it was a general meeting. We had Bill Kenwright, John Woods, Robert Elston, Denise Barrett Baxendale, and Roberto Martinez up on stage. It was in the Liverpool Philharmonic, which is a absolutely beautiful place to go and
venue.
Go and listen to classical music and sometimes classic films as well. I've seen classic films in there as well. A screen sort of comes out to the floor.
I heard Sinatra renditions are good in there.
I have no idea. But the Liverpool Philharmonic Orchestra is one of the best in the world. But so there was a big screen, and so first of all, Robert Elston gave his review of the year. There was also a montage, which I think you can now see on the Everton website. Very feel-good montage, featuring a lot of Everton in the community and the goals and sets of music and Roberto Martinez and just all the highlights of the season. So that before anyone wanted to sort of have a moan in the AGM, you were suddenly made to feel good. You were hit with all the best bits. Very much. It's like the end of the X Factor. Here's your best bits. So you got that first. Then Robert Elston went on stage and talked about the figures and how Everton were doing well and things are not comparable to other clubs because you can't figure in the kit bag and the Sodexo money.
Or the lack thereof.
Yeah, we're not here to go into that. One of the things that came up. One of the things that came up on the screen was the Umbro deal, and it said Everton signed Umbro £10 million Umbro deal. So I know that had been a question mark of sorts before, so that got addressed. I don't know whether that's 10 million over the 5 years. I probably think so. I don't think it's going to be 10 years, 10 million every year. We talked about the figures and how we're performing better every year. A lot of it is to do with the TV money. To be fair, a lot of it is to do with the TV money,
which all the other teams are getting.
Yeah, but in terms of wage bills and how ours is compared to other people's and tickets and stuff, the clubs say we're doing well. I am just gonna, basically say what they were saying. Season tickets, the early bird, have already sold. I think
it was almost 25,000.
Nearly 25. It was up by 21%, I think. So
yeah,
really doing well on that side of things.
Yeah, that's great.
What's great, tickets selling well, and then obviously I'll come back to the main thing. We'll leave the main thing till later. There was obviously the main thing, the main discussion, which was a stadium. Roberto Martinez got up on stage. Basically, he did a little presentation himself with the screen. Basically, talked about how he tried to change the philosophy, and he started getting some stats out. And he basically said about the centre backs and how many touches and passes they'd made this season and how it had increased by a large amount. We watched that, we know that. And then the minutes that young players have got as well, and the young players that have been introduced this season, and obviously he was saying that was the backbone for the team, and that had increased massively. So again, yeah, he thanked everyone and said how brilliant the season had been, and how
away support and
Bill Kerr might come on as well and give a little thing about Roberto Martinez said he'd get Champions League. He didn't say when he'd get Champions League, but he knew he had the genius and all those things. And then we'll go back to what the main topic was, the stadium.
Yeah. Any secrets leaked or insights as to location? We tweeted out a picture of Walton Hill Park, and we talked about it a little bit last week as far as proximity to Stanley Park. Very close by.
I would suggest the first thing anyone did was go onto Google Maps and type in Walton Hill Park. Then just scroll to the left and you'll see Goodison.
Mm-hmm.
Now, have a look at Goodison Park, the size of the footprint.
Mm-hmm.
Double that footprint and then imagine that footprint within Walton Hill Park. And that, that's the scope we're talking of.
Yeah, and it looks like Walton Hall Park looks like it's got enough green space currently to accommodate twice the size Goodison. That's just strictly looking at Google Maps.
Well, I'll start at the beginning, shall I?
Why not?
So, Robert Elson said new stadium was needed. A place had been identified, an area. Working with the council. I think he basically said money had already been put into this sort of identifying it, and they were a long way down the line of feasibility studies and things like that.
Right.
When we went into the building, there had been, I don't know whether it was leaked or not, but there was an article. I think it was in. I think it might have been in the Telegraph. I think it was, and it was basically saying that Walton Hall Park had been identified. It was going to create not only the new ground, but houses and amenities, and make the place a little bit nicer than it is. It's not. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not a bad area around the park, but a little bit like what Liverpool are doing with Anfield, make the whole area a nicer place to be. Try and make it nicer, and probably with the being nicer, bring in outside retail partners who will, put a restaurant next to it or put a store next to it, And I'm not, when I say that, I don't mean like a test, the way Tesco were doing it. I mean, bring something in that is relative to the people that go to that game. So a hotel. Or a
IKEA.
Large, go to the game, buy a Billy bookcase, and pick it up afterwards. No, but things are relative, like hotel,
assembled by halftime,
restaurant, pubs. These things are always relevant to, and that's things that they were looking at. So we got that information, and they were talking about, the newspaper was talking about that they'd like the council to buy it and be like Manchester City. Well, since then that's been denied. The council, I think, would just be providing the land
and
as well as being
infrastructure support.
Yeah, as well as being a partner. So, I mean, there wasn't really that much said. It was just that saying they were going along with it. And in the questions afterwards, someone asked, a shareholder said, can you tell us who the partners are? And the club said no. And the shareholder said, well, I'm a bit disappointed with that because I'm a shareholder, and the club basically said tough. But it's an early stage. You can't always reveal your hand too early. But it's interesting. Listen, we know we've heard rumours of stadiums before. We've had 2 unsuccessful attempts, but we have had attempts, 2 others, and they were the only other stadiums we'd really heard about. So maybe this has got something in it. It's early. and maybe we need some nice shiny pictures, but it's still early, but hopefully it looks like something is happening, something is progressing. There is movement on it. Well, who knows who's behind that? Maybe Roberto Martinez is behind it getting sped up a little bit. I mean, even if the they decided they were going to build a new stadium tomorrow, you're probably still talking 5 to 7 years. Because it's not easy to do all these put all these different things in motion. But now is the time, because now the economy is getting itself back on track. Things are not always as things will probably be cheap to buy, and build the building trade and want to be part of it and all those things. So, but as I said before, if people are not aware, go into Google and just put Walton Hall Park and just look at the proximity from Goodison. It's not that far. It's going away from the city centre, but it's still not that far. And I'm sure if it was part of a bigger sort of scheme, it wouldn't feel as far. I mean, we obviously there's no details. We don't know where it would be in the park. The park itself, fundamentally, it actually houses Liverpool County FA, the football pitches for them. So it's got a couple of really lovely, excellent pitches that the under 15s and 16 city teams play in, and a lot of cup finals get played in. I think it's just had a brand new 3 or 4G pitch laid on it, so that's it's got that. It's got a sports centre. It's got a lot of amateur football pitches, which are not very good, to be fair. They are pretty poor. It's got a fishing lake in it. And apart from that, it's just green space. So, but I can imagine that a lot of that green space will be kept, and probably will be made nicer. And maybe the county FA grounds will be made better, and maybe the sports centre will be made better as part of this scheme. Because don't get me wrong, if they decide they're going to build on a public park in Liverpool, people will make a fuss about it. People will say we need to protect our green space, and I've got absolutely no problem with that. That's fair enough. But I'm sure there'll be trade-offs, because if the council are behind it, then they'll have to have trade-offs for the park. So whether they decide to knock down some old housing and make the park bigger by moving it in another direction, then building houses for them people in a different area, or I'm sure
where Goodison Park was.
No, I don't think you can build on Goodison Park. I really don't. I think you can build on the park end, the car park, maybe build flats, but I don't think you could build on Goodison Park, because you've got, it'd be one thing moving people away from Goodison Park, that would rip enough people's hearts out, but then saying, oh, actually we're going to build houses or a supermarket on it, I'm not sure about that. Maybe maybe they could build a sort of communal garden for the area, park space for the area, because you've got the church on the corner, you've got that park, that's been there for years. You've people of scattered ashes, and I don't think that don't feel that would be the right thing to do. So,
right.
But I'm sure Walton Hall Park they could do something with that. They could move things around it to make it a nicer space and accommodate a stadium, and that would bring in investments. Hopefully, I think that's what the club are hoping for. Naming rights were mentioned for the stadium. They'll be looking for outside companies to come in, restaurants and hotels, and put money into it to make it less expensive for Everton, the council, whoever, because Everton, that's not, Everton can't pay for this stadium on their own. The council can't pay for it. Yeah, that's for definite as well.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it can be paid for with European money, redevelopment money, and all these different things. But what they'll be looking for is outside investment to get involved and to be part of the stadium in one way or another. As I said, naming rights, but not just that. Different areas of the ground. We've heard Liverpool have just signed big deals with Subway and Dunkin' Donuts, and I'm sure that'll be part of the stadium, because they're getting a big outdoor area, and I'm sure they're going to have areas that will accommodate those two restaurants in different ways. And I'm sure they won't just be the first; there'll be more. And I think Everton will be looking at that the same way and thinking that'll be the way forward. And the ironic thing is, this sort of model was muted a couple of years ago by the people who were doing the football quarter, who were saying, let's redevelop the two grounds and have a shared infrastructure of retail space that can pay for it all. Now, Liverpool have sort of gone down that line, but have decided to keep all that sort of cash for themselves, and you know,
Sure.
because maybe the interest of their fans are different from the interest of our fans. But I think Everton's case has always been that they wanted to move away from Goodison Park. That seems what they're thinking of. But this story is only very, very early, so I'm sure there's gonna be a lot more of it come the summer and into next season.
Yeah, we'll keep everybody abreast of any developments. So definitely keep your web browser pointed to followtonians.com and get on Twitter and follow us, and if we hear anything, we'll definitely let you know. Break time. We'll be right back to preview the Man City match.
Isn't this in the part of the show where I'm supposed to go Robotnik?
No, I think we got about 20
Oh
more
no,
minutes before that happens.
yeah. No, hang on, we put it on. Isn't it? You came on about 2:10.
Yeah.
Only an hour.
You want to chance it? It's amazing, just the lack of interaction after a loss.
I know. It's the same with everything, isn't it? You see
Yeah.
a downturn and everything, don't you? It's
Yeah.
even the footy show this week is hasn't. I mean, the numbers are a lot better than they've been in the last few weeks, but we got over 1,000 listens last week, and this week's is only up to like 654 because
Mhm.
both teams got beat. So, right, let me get a quick drink and then we'll jump into it.
Okay.
Oh.
If you're just now tuning in, we're in the middle of a break until we get into the preview for the Man City match. Ped went to go get a drink. Hmm. Now would be a great time to submit questions. Or not.
I think there's one question on YouTube.
Well, we don't answer questions on YouTube.
There might be a newbie.
Who does that? All right. We'll get into that as soon as we get back here. You ready?
If you're watching, if you're watching live, right? If you're watching live, then I'm just about to put a picture on Twitter of Walton Hall Park. How nice am I?
Oh.
So give me a sec. Oh.
You done yet?
No, hang on. Chill your beans.
Come on.
Hang on. Here we go. Hang on.
Whoa, they're like right next to each other. Hmm?
Has it gone through? Okay, no, it's frozen on mine, that's all.
Yeah.
Cool.
Well, you stink. No, it's there.
Cool.
We good?
Hang on, we will be when
Ready,
my
ready to
computer's...
Robotnik this thing?
Hang on, my computer's not being my friend.
Hmm.
Yeah, thank you, my tweet was posted, thank you. I'm ready to go.
All right. All right, back on Follow Tonians. Big thanks. What is that? What is that?
What is that? What is
What is
what?
that? I don't
It
know.
was me going. It was me going. Doodle-doo, doodle-doo,
Why?
doodle-doo, doodle-doo,
Why?
doodle-doo. I don't know. Just don't know.
Okay. Well, thanks, Patty, for doing your preview. And yeah, there's this like movement, I guess. And I don't know about movement, but this mindset amongst some Everton fans of this not wanting Liverpool to win the league so much that they are okay with losing this match. You live
And
there. You live
and
close by.
and
Um, and what?
and what is wrong with that?
I was gonna ask your opinion. Are you in the mentality, the mindset of being okay with that?
I could never actively want my team to lose ever. I just couldn't. It's like wanting your child to fail, isn't it? It's something, you just it's just not gonna happen, is it? You just
As long as
you
your sworn enemy's kid also fails.
well, yeah.
I mean, if it's okay for Daniel Russo to get injured, as long as Johnny doesn't also win.
let's let's break this down really, because there's a lot of sanitized sort of. This is an Everton podcast. We can be open and honest, and
I don't know
we
about
don't
that. That's going
we
a little
don't
too far,
we
Petty.
don't really need to worry about who's listening. Let's be honest. Let's talk about it properly as Evertonians. A lot of Blues know how hellish their lives are going to be if Liverpool win the league, and that's the top and bottom of it. It's not bitterness as they always like to claim. It's not wanting to see someone else do well. It's the fact that their lives will be made hell for a year. Anyone who's in this city or anyone who knows a Liverpool fan when they won the Champions League, it was hell. You tried to go to work that next day and you saw people you'd never heard mumble a word about football, never mind Liverpool, and they are,
The biggest Reds ever.
the biggest red, and I was there and so and but I don't go anymore because blah blah blah, and it's just, and the worst ones are the women that have never been to a game, don't watch football, and then the next minute they're all over it. There's a word in this city that gets brought up now and again. And I think I'm allowed to say it. They're called
Oh,
football slags.
you're Robotnik, so we didn't get that.
Okay,
Yeah,
probably for the
it's
best.
yeah.
I think I'm allowed to say it. They're called
Oh,
football slags,
you're
right?
Robotnik. So it'll be. I think I'm allowed to say it. That's where you can pick up. As soon as you go unrobotnik,
Okay. So
you're still
we
on.
did.
What?
We
So
did. We
so
did say so.
so in adult beverage hour. What are you drinking there, Ped?
I'm drinking I'm drinking cherry coke with Jim Beam.
Nice.
Here's to you, Miss Kunis. Do you get that ad right over there?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'd drink anything. Anything. She told me to drink. Anything.
Mhm.
I don't mind saying I drink anything. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Mind if I do.
Mhm.
Oh.
Again, and now would be a really great time for some questions.
I'm so fancy. You already know my fast name. From Flatish to Tokyo.
This is the best show we've ever recorded.
It isn't bad. We're zooming through it. Ooh.
How do you pronounce Justin's last name, do you think?
Uh,
The comment on
Timberlake.
no, that's definitely not Timberlake.
Okay.
Um, Giedroc. Guidrock?
You nailed
Giedrock?
it. You just nailed it.
Sounds good.
Is he Canadian? French
Uh,
Canadian.
probably.
I've heard they're the worst ones. Those French Canadian guys. I'm gonna go for G-Drock.
Giedrock, not
Yeah.
Guidrock, huh?
Oh, Guydrock, whichever one you want. Guydrock, G-Drock. Let's do this.
As soon as you're on Robotnik.
I'm so fancy.
Maybe you should dance while this is going
I'll
on.
leave the dancing for you. You fool.
I only dance whenever we've won very, very important games. Oh, hey, Tanner Hannum.
Pardon?
Uh,
Hannah?
Tanner Hannum
Hell's Tanner Hannah?
just
Sounds like a
posted a
lady.
question on the Q&A.
Sounds like a lady product.
Twitter's funny.
I've seen that.
You've seen Twitter being funny?
Yeah. I've seen Twitter.
Stuff's funny. There's like puppies that lick things on Twitter. It's pretty funny.
It's puppies that lick things in my house. Never mind on Twitter.
No, I expect better out of Loki now that he's certified obedient to the Bronze Ward. There's no more licking of things. He's got a certificate.
That ain't gonna stop him.
Probably not. He is a big, huge dog, and regardless, certification or not, his tongue probably weighs like 3 pounds. Talk.
Oh. Yo.
Yeah. Okay, you're good.
This might sound crazy.
All right. So, you know where you're coming back in?
No. What was I saying? There's a word in this city that gets brought up now and again.
There's a phrase in the city that gets brought up
Okay.
now and again. Ready?
Okay.
Go.
There's a phrase in the city that gets brought up now and again, and it's basically football slags. When there's a big game on, a big game like there will be on Monday night and was on last Sunday, basically women who know nothing about football in this city, they go out because they know there'll be a lot of drunk men knocking about with, money in the pockets, and basically they'll be could possibly get a free night out, and that's where it all comes from, and that's Evertonians just hate all that, because you don't have these people for Everton, you only have them for Liverpool. And as I said, people's lives will be made hell, and we've all been there, we've all, depending on where you're brought up or how you were brought up. I mean, the era I was brought up in Liverpool, I mean, there wasn't that many blues, or certainly wasn't as many blues as fanatical blues. So, you can imagine someone like me being in school and being surrounded by Reds who can just put a t-shirt on to say Liverpool fan without actually having to go games, when you're going to all the games and is left, disappointed every single week. But, at least you're putting in the time and the effort, you're clocking up the hours, where these people are just doing what Liverpool fans are renowned for and just watching on TV. So, you can understand why people don't want them to win the league. They are our rivals. Why would we want our rivals to win something? So, getting back to sort of the main point, this could be a game that has absolutely nothing riding on it. If West Ham beat Spurs, then Everton are secured European place.
Right.
And people will say, okay, well, we want fifth, and then some people say, well, we'll get fifth by beating Hull. So you've got to look at it from different perspectives. It's okay saying, oh, I'm an Evertonian. Listen, I don't honestly believe many people. I believe some people, but I don't believe many people are going there actively wanting Everton to lose and will be sort of cheering on Man City or celebrating on Man City.
You won't be doing the Boston in the Gladys streets.
But if Manchester City win, I don't really think there'll be a lot of Evertonians who'll be sort of going mad about it and kicking up a fuss. Don't forget, we're already down significantly by players-wise, Okay, Jagielka can probably be back, but, Gareth Barry missing in the centre of the pitch, and we've seen what the team looked like last week, and, it looks jaded against the Man City team that look like they may have the bit between the teeth again. And I'm just saying that if Everton do get beat, I don't think there'll be that many Blues who'll walk out going, well, dear me, because the Champions League's gone now. We know it's gone. And, I really want Europa League. I really want us to finish fifth. I want us to finish fifth more than anything, because I think...
Is there an advantage to finishing fifth over sixth for listeners out there in Europa League?
If Arsenal win the FA Cup, then I think we go straight into the qualifiers if we finish fifth. But not only that, I think there's a 1.8 million difference between finish fifth and sixth, and then again, you finish seventh.
Can we get some of that? I'd like some of that cheese.
There you go, yeah. And also because I think we're a better side than Spurs, and I think we're a better side than Manchester United, and I want that to be shown. I think we're a better side than Arsenal. I just think they've might have a better squad than us. But who are we? We are just the fans. When it comes to actually playing the game, the players will put in 100% as they always do. And the result will be dictated by who's the best team on the day.
I thought it was going to be dictated by the referee, but I could be wrong.
You never know. But at the end of the day, if you looked at the two teams, I honestly think with Everton's best side, the side that played Arsenal and Manchester United, that we could beat Man City. But sure. I'm not sure that this week with the players that we've got missing, that we can beat them. And
we almost have an entire squad missing, Ped.
Well, certainly an entire first team.
Right.
I just think, Baines is a bit of a doubt. Jagielka would be just returning. This
sends a doubt. This
sends a doubt. Barry can't play. There's there's a lot of sort of ifs and buts.
Pienaar's
Man
out.
City, Man City seem to be having, they seem to have, they've got Silva back by the looks of it, and um,
Torre.
Aguero's back and Yaya Toure, and they look, they know that they've got to win the next 3 games to win the league. They know that. Now, as I say, I mean, it is sort of like the big question, and the media over here are lapping it up because could Everton win the league for Liverpool? Now, as most people have said, no one wants Everton to win the league for Liverpool. Everton fans just want to win the game to wrap up that
Right.
European place. Because it wouldn't surprise me we were beaten by Man City and then they went and lost one of their last 2 games or whatever. But at the end of the day, you only want what's best for your team. But this is definitely one where if Everton were to get beat, I think fans would just say, well,
Uh,
you know,
yeah. All I know is I don't want to be going into the last match at Hull
neither do
needing a
I.
point. I don't
Neither.
want to. I don't want to go in there needing a point, knowing that United's got a fairly easy match and expected to win. And if we lose our 2 matches, drop down. If we lose by the minimum and reduce our goal difference by 2, and United win their 3 matches and increase their goal difference by 3,
Well, Man United's goal difference will
better than ours.
be better than ours easily if
Yeah.
we was, I think it's
So
they're
so
they're
seven
only one
six
or one
six
behind.
is not even anywhere close to secure right now.
Well, we need 3 points to secure. We need 3 points to secure it because we're above. Man United can only catch us on goal difference. We said that,
Hmm.
and Spurs could finish equal points, but they're not getting anywhere near our goal difference because
Right.
as I said, now we're plus 18, so that's not happening. So as I said, if West Ham were to beat Spurs kick off
Yeah.
before ours, then
Right.
do you know what the worst thing is? If our game was the 8 o'clock game on Monday night, that would be sort of perfect scenario because because we'd know what Spurs, Man United, and Arsenal and Liverpool, we'd know exactly how their games would have finished.
Right.
But because we're smack bang in the middle, where people are saying, well, what if we were to get beat and then Arsenal get beat, and it comes down to that last day, or what if Liverpool get beat and then you know we have got the chance to beat Man City and it doesn't really affect things, uh, I just think everyone will have their own personal opinion, but there's no
Right.
way any blue can turn around to the one next to them and say you're a disgrace for what you think or what you do. There's no way. It all comes down to personal circumstances. That's all it comes down to. We all know how easily Liverpool fans turn things round when how many look at the Chelsea result in the Champions League, how suddenly all Liverpool fans started giving grief for Chelsea getting beat, and yet
When they
if
got
we
beat.
if we do that, then we're seen as bitter.
Right.
Liverpool fans are saying now, oh well, it's terrible that you want us to lose. Well, Liverpool actively wanted Chelsea to win the league one year to stop Manchester United, and they also had a similar situation in '95 when they played Blackburn last game of the season, and Manchester United were at West Ham, and they drew with West Ham 0-0, and that gave them the league, Blackburn the league, and Liverpool actually scored a winner in the last minute. And but at literally the same time the goal went in, they knew the final whistle had gone at Upton Park. So everyone in the ground was celebrating because Blackburn had won the league. So and there's been actively fans when that goal went in. Fans were like had their heads between the hands, going, "Oh, you just give the lead to Manchester United," and then the next minute, Manchester United finishes 0-0. So no one can turn around to us and say, how dare you do that?"
Right.
Or no one's got a moral right in this circumstance. Nobody has. So it's up to the circumstance of their own fan. Whichever fan. I just think
Yeah.
there's
I
no.
I, I don't envy you for being in the thick of it and having to deal with it. It'll be easier for those Blues that are not local.
As I've said to you, Eric, if Liverpool were to win the league, I'm moving to North Korea.
because
I
it'll be
honestly
less
think they've got a fairer
hostile.
system. I think they've got a fairer system. Honestly, it's honestly, you know what? Liverpool fans make me laugh because in the last few weeks, all you've heard is, "I hope you get fourth. I hope you get fourth." And then when we got beat, last week, they're all laughing at us because we're not going
Right.
to get fourth. That's the mentality. And I'll be honest, I don't want Liverpool to win the league. No, no chance. No, no, thank you. That's not because I'm bitter or whatever that even means, because I don't think half of them even know what that means or where it comes from or what it's in regard to. It's just that because they're my rival, they're our rivals, my rivals, and Liverpool didn't want Manchester United to win the league. They don't want Chelsea to win the Champions League. So, you know, there you go. I mean, why would it make any difference? Because it does. Or, and as I keep stressing, it's not the plan. The fans are not playing this game. The people on the pitch are.
Hmm.
Simple as that. And Roberto Martinez is not sending anyone out to lose a football match. Whichever team wins, if there's a winner, will deserve to win that match, and that's it. And if we beat Man City, I'll celebrate the fact that we've won a game and got into Europe and gained fifth place. And then whatever happens after that happens.
And
And
hope Liverpool loses and screw
yeah,
and pulls a Stevie
exactly,
G and slips.
exactly. That's what I'll hope. I'll hope that. So but I don't. But that's the way it is. I mean, and if Liverpool, I still think Liverpool will win the league because I still think we'll get something out of this game on Saturday, even if it's just a point. And I don't think they'll lose both games. And I think they'll win the league. And yes, my life will be made hell for the next 6 to 12 months. The only difference is I've been there and seen it before, but I feel
Yeah,
worse for kids who haven't seen it and been there before and go to school with kids who haven't seen it before either, and the
right.
torment they'll be put through, like my nephew Aiden, who have to go through it. And the other thing I don't like about it, right, and this is another thing that probably think people won't even, maybe have considered, is Everton and Liverpool are doing really well this season. And you know what? There's kids in this city that don't necessarily have a parent to guide them when it comes to football. And they might be guided by their friends or what's going on at the time. I mean, a lot of Liverpool fans do come out of this city because Liverpool have won more. Not because there's a family link. It's because their dad, even if their dad might be a blue, but because their mates are Reds and Liverpool are winning things, or Liverpool are the sort of team to follow, they'll go and follow it. So if Liverpool win, then that extra bunch of fans that haven't really got an affiliation as such will latch on to Liverpool because they've won something.
Yeah, you called
You,
them football slags, but
well, these are kids, Eric.
yeah,
Can't call kids that. You
that's a
can't.
little rude, a
You're
little
going to
crass.
you're going to hell for that. But you've got potential, blues who just haven't quite found
Mini
the
slags.
you haven't quite found their true call, and yeah, you're pulling them away from the faith. So you've got to remember that as well. So all I can say is may the best team win, and let's see what happens, and hopefully whatever happens, come 10 days time, I'm not packing a bag and changing my name to Din John Wei.
Let's get to some of these questions real quick before we wrap up. Justin Giedrich, I'll just say it really quickly and it sounds good. What do you guys want to see Saturday versus Man City? Who do you want to play? Performance? What do you want to see? Result, etc. Just looking for opinions. Well, we have opinions. We've got this podcast, so we have opinions. I would want him to field the strongest squad that he's got possible, and I want to win. Um, I don't want to leave Europe to chance. I want to finish as high up the table as we can, and let the other teams prove that they belong where they're at. And you can't. For me, I can't say that giving away 3 points is going to do anything because you don't know if City's going to win the rest of their matches. You don't know if Liverpool's going to win the rest of their matches. So just win, baby.
No one's giving away 3 points, are they? The
Right.
players will be up for it.
Yep.
Um, I just want them, yeah, as you just said, the strongest team, and whatever the strongest team is, I don't know. James Hollis, who does our
No one
excellent,
does.
yeah, exactly. James Hollis, who does our excellent match, reviews after the games, match reports. Was asking me to. Sorry, was it James? I think it might have been Aaron, actually, Aaron Hollis,
Yeah.
who does our blue review, was asking me today. Did you think there was a possibility we could play three centre backs? And this is something I've mentioned before. This could be a game where you have Jags back, Stones, and maybe Alcaraz possibly, and maybe we could see Stones pushing into midfield. It might be a little bit too radical for this particular game because of the importance of it and who the opposition are. Might be the wrong game to change that, but who knows? I mean, I'm sure Osman will probably come in for Gareth Barry. It does seem like he's the obvious replacement. So we'll see. I mean, Baines has been struggling all week, but apparently he's going to be back. Because we've had somewhat got a possibility of Luke Garbett there that Justin's mentioned, and Garbett's got promise, but you're talking about one of the best left backs in Europe. So he'll get his chance. And this leads me on
Ashley
to.
Cole.
Don't talk about Ashley Cole. He's an awful player. This leads me on to Tanner.
He's got a great beard, though.
Yeah, he looks like Mr. T. This takes on to Hannah Tamman's question. He says, "What youngsters do you see having opportunities next season? One's currently out on loan or still in the under-21s." Well, if we do get Europe, and obviously there's the other games, and you've obviously got
Yeah, we've
the
mentioned this. The more playing time for the Naismiths, the fringe players, and the Ryan Ledsons who made
yeah,
the bench uh, at the weekend, and there's just more opportunity for more players to get real game experience that means something that is not the U21s and other less competitive matches. So that's why Europe is so important to a developing young squad like Everton.
yeah. And as you mentioned, the likes of Ryan Ledson, who's a phenomenal player for his age, as age level. Um, you know, he's he's 16, nearly 17. He's got a little bit about him, a little bit of bite, a little bit of drive. Luke Garbett, I'm sure we'll get a chance at left back maybe next season, maybe in Europe or a League Cup game. Um,
Yeah, you mentioned Martinez seeing Leighton Baines moving into more like a
yeah,
number six role.
possibly in the
Um,
next couple of years. Yeah, I
yeah,
mean,
and
but
I
I do think that spot is actually going to be fun. I actually think because he thinks that Brian Oviedo is a left back who can actually almost suit the system a little bit better because you'd have Coleman and Oviedo sort of who've got the pace on the wings, sort of a different style of. I mean, as good as Baines is, he doesn't offer fantastic pace, and I think maybe that's what he wants, maybe a little bit more pace um, on the wings, and sees the impact of Baines playing as a centre midfielder. But all these things can happen. Listen, people are saying we don't want Europe, we don't want the Europa League. It's a lot more games.
absolutely we
Well,
do.
we want to bed these players in. We want the next set of players. We want you're looking at the squad and you're thinking, right, well, the likes of Osman, he's probably got maybe 2 more years at the top. The likes of Pienaar, a couple more years in and out the team, not a starter. Hibbert has been nowhere near this team this season. You've got Barry in there. Will he stay? Who knows? If he does, what's he going to get? A couple of years. So there's opportunities for these young players, and you can imagine,
Yep.
this is the next wave of players that Martinez is grabbing young and molding into his style. So
You wouldn't say he's grooming, right?
I wouldn't want to use that word. No, let's be
Okay.
honest. No.
I was just wondering. Um, what do you make of some of the really awful performances from our wingers? At times, they either look really good or really bad. Uh, what needs to happen for them to have more consistency?
It's hard to say, isn't it? I mean, as they have been in and out, but wingers are in and out traditionally. Um, I don't know, getting used to this, get used to the, the system a little bit more. The actual three players, Morales, Delafeu, and McGeady, are all at very, very different stages of their career. I mean, McGeady needs he needs a pre-season under his belt. He's showed flashes of it, but I don't really think he's got an engine in him because he didn't have a pre-season. I mean, that pre-season really, really, gives you that core fitness for the rest of the season.
Hmm.
I don't really think he's had that. Um, Delafeu is a young player who's going to find himself in and out of games. Is trying different new things. But sometimes when Delafeu plays poorly, he still manages to conjure up something. And Morales is the same. He hasn't. I don't know. He's not quite nailed down a true position as such. He's been played in different positions. But sometimes when he's bad, he's still good. And that's a good sign. He's got decent figures for the season. I'd like to see him get double figures for goals, but he's got decent figures. So I think as the team next season hopefully settles down. So I think that people probably find that strange, but as it settles down into being, as I think Roberto Martinez mentioned this week, he's put this style in, and next season wants to see Everton master that style. So maybe when they start mastering that style, those players will become more comfortable in the system.
And then Justin's being a rock star for us. One last one from him. He just wants to know why you hate Tim Howard.
I don't hate Tim Howard. I just think he could be better. I think he could be really much better. And I don't agree that he's made just a couple of mistakes. I really don't. I think it's not about mistakes. It's not about mistakes that are glaringly obvious. It's not about pushing the ball in your own net. It's not about dropping the ball and someone tapping it in. It's not about, letting a ball slip through your fingers and go in the net. It's not about that. It's about commanding your area. It's about dominating the space. It's about taking pressure off your centre backs by coming out and catching crosses and starting attacks. It's coming out and punching the ball. It's at times being a sweeper keeper so that if someone does get through, you're already outside your 18-yard box, making sure they don't get the ball. They're the things. I've watched keepers in the last few days. I've watched Courtois for Madrid. I've watched,
That guy's
you
kind
know,
of good.
I've seen Neuer this season. I've seen Joe Hart. When a ball gets pumped into the box, even if it gets pumped diagonally from outside the box rather than the side, these goalkeepers will rush out and catch it in front of the defensive line. They will take the pressure off because what happens is a ball gets pumped into the box, the keeper stays on on their line, it gets flicked backwards off a defender or off an attacker, and the next minute the goalkeeper is stranded in no man's land. Whereas if he'd gone and took that ball originally, look at the second goal on Saturday. For me, if Tim Howard jumps, he's 9 foot tall. No one else can jump and catch a ball in the box. Only he can do that. And if he jumps and catches it and someone knocks him on the floor, he gets a free kick. And that's what I'm saying. I think he's a good goalkeeper. I think he could be a better goalkeeper. And he does. He's a phenomenal shot stopper, one of the best out there. But it's not just about being a shot stopper. It's about doing everything. And yeah, people might think I'm picky. But you know what? I want the best for Everton. And I honestly think Tim Howard could do that. And it just needs. Listen, a lot of it comes down to the fact that for 10 or so years, he's been programmed to work one way under one goalkeeping coach, and maybe it's going to take a little bit more time. But for me, at times he's chained to that goal, that line in the goal, and I need him to start coming off it because it would just make Everton's life a lot easier.
Maybe we could go down to Norwich and pick up this third string keeper, Carlo Nash. I heard
Play the year.
he's pretty good. Um, that just blows our mind. All right. So yeah, everybody, thanks for tuning in. Here's to securing Europe this weekend,
Next weekend
or just
without playing.
or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I just it's got to happen. Come on, you Blues, let's go.
And West Ham.
And not anybody else.
Mm-hmm. Erg Hall.
All right, everybody. Later. Bye.
Thank you for your questions, guys.
Much appreciated.
Much appreciated.
Later.